What's up, everyone? Welcome to RotoGrinders MLB Crunch Time. I'm your host for the weekend, TJ Zwarich, joined by my good buddies. We got a TWT weekend. First up, Shiver Me Timbo, Tasteful Tides, Tim Buell. How you doing, Tim?
Yeah, I'm doing well. It's definitely been a pretty amazing weekend of sports. Looking forward to breaking it down with you guys. It's going to be kind of I don't remember seeing a team total this high. Like I've seen like ones in like the high sixes, but like currently San Diego has like a 7.5 applied team total. I don't remember the last time I saw one that high.
Big team total for San Diego today. I was thinking the exact same thing when I saw it. Used to seeing teams above 6 when they get into Coors Field. Above 7 is certainly a rarity, and we have not only a bunch of really good bats to spend up for, we have a bunch of really good pitching to spend up for, and help us break all of it down, sort it out. We got the Chief, Will Priester. How you doing, Chief?
I'm good, man. Definitely interesting slate. I think we were mentioning that pre-show. A lot of good pitchers, I feel like, in marginal spots, like not the best, not the worst, just kind of blah. And you know how I feel about Coors Field, but man, it seems like the spot of a lifetime with that team total pushing like that. And not only the team total, still San Diego's like a minus 245 favorite. Like incredible with those types of numbers. I mean, just probably shattering records here, Tim. I would assume the only way we get something above this team total ever again is what's his name? Homer Bailey comes back to pitch.
Wow. Yeah.
Homer Bailey was like my favorite gas can of all time. Only because I felt like every time I picked on him, it was so hit or miss. But when you got him, you got him. But when you didn't, you're frustrated. Either way, that's all gas cans. But I definitely think this is a fun slate. I've got a team that's kind of my favorite team. And I definitely like to lean into who I feel like some of the worst pitchers are. I think we've got a chance to take advantage of that with everybody gravitating to a couple of different teams. So it should be a fun slate.
I don't know if this is going to be a hot take at all. I know part of it is, but the rest of it probably not so much. I have 0. I didn't actually do a normal 150. I just put 50 lineups in today. And I did 0 full Padres stacks, 0 5-man Padres stacks. But I am still playing Tatis. I am still playing Merrill. I am still playing Cronenworth. And I am still playing Machado. My plan is to essentially just play the good ones. And all the other Padres who have been like ridiculously priced up, who aren't seeing as much ownership, but are still seeing some ownership. Like I can't pay $5K for Gavin Sheets. Like that's just not something I'm physically able to do. And so I'm going to have 0 full stacks of the Padres, but still play some Tatis, still play some Merrill. But there are some high-priced pivots I really like today to get off of those guys. Tim, I'll throw it to you for a picture.
Real quick, really
yeah.
quick, just kind of talk like high-level overview. Today's slate is why I quit playing Coors like years ago. Tatis 6,500, Arias 5,300, Machado 6K, Merrill 63, Bogarts 51, Cronenworth 48, Sheets 5K. Like I'm just saying these prices right here today are the reason that I kind of hopped off of Coors and started just finding other ways to beat Coors because these prices are pretty high. Once again, just saying the reason why I did it, not saying Coors is a bad spot today at all, just kind of giving some insight as to why I just started hitting the X button. Over the years, it hasn't been as expensive. Like this is one of the most expensive days I've seen for a team on the other side of a Coors pitcher in a long time. Several guys, almost a whole team above 5K. That's pretty hefty. So just wanted to point that out. Not trying to encourage anyone to not play it. Just tell you why I typically got away from it years ago.
Agreed, 100%. And that's why I feel like I'm more likely to just go just play Tatis today, right? Because he's regular 6K and now he's 65. That's a price bump I'm comfortable with. But Sheets going from 2,800 to 5K, like that, I don't care if they're playing on Mars. Like, I'm just not down for those players at that price tag. So couldn't agree more with you there, Will. Spidey bombs are coming. I got Spidey bombs ready to rock. I accidentally put it on.
They're coming. They haven't come already.
Yeah, so Will and Tim got a little tease for what the first Spidey bomb is, and we're only 19 likes away from the first Spidey bomb. I'll drop one at 50 likes, one at 75, another one at 100. So keep smashing that like button for some home run picks. Tim, we got a wealth of pitching today in addition to these expensive Coors guys. What are you doing today at pitcher? I feel like one guy kind of stands above them all probably, but a ton of great options.
Yeah, I'm not really convinced that one is really that much better than the other. But I mean, there's a real like a ton of ways you can go today. I think first off, you got to talk about Garrett Crochet at 10.9 facing the Royals. The issue that I have is like he's priced correctly, and he's not going to be super chalky, so he's obviously completely fine for GPPs. It's just that we're talking about we have to talk about San Diego and just how expensive they are. So it's kind of difficult to play Crochet. And if you want to go expensive, like, the San Diego bats or like even some of the Baltimore bats are pretty expensive. So he's pretty tough to play today, but I think he's completely fine if you want to get to him in GPPs. I think Joe Ryan is your SP1 in cash games at 9,600. If you're playing cash today, I think he's your most expensive pitcher that you're going to go for your SP1. But you could go Crochet, I guess, if you had the money. But I prefer going a little bit down and playing Joe Ryan. And then Logan Webb is right there in that same tier with Crochet. Just points per dollar wise, I think I would prefer just going Ryan, then Crochet, and then Webb. That's probably how I would rank those three. So that's like the expensive tier. But then we get into this incredibly strong kind of mid-range tier where there's Edward Cabrera, there's Tyler McGill, there's Shane Smith, Lance McCullers. All these guys, I think, are firmly in play. There's a little bit of discrepancy in our projected ownership between the RotoGrinders projected own and the Bats projected own for Shane Smith. So if Shane Smith's going to be, we have him in our projections at 4%. That's fantastic. I think the Bat had him at 12%. So even if we just kind of split the difference and say like 7 or 8%, I think he's a fantastic GPP play. I think he's going up against a really, really weak Miami lineup. So he's my favorite out of this mid-range tier, but you could make cases for all these guys. So I think you could even play guys like McGill in cash games as your SP2. Like I wouldn't hate anybody if they went like Ryan and McGill as a cash game pairing today. And then we got to talk about Kyle Gibson. He's like, this is kind of difficult because he's 5,200. He's not a very good pitcher. He has had, really bad, numbers to start the season. But he was okay last year. It's just the matchup today and his price, right? So he's going against the Angels, who are going to be without Trout. He's 5,200. Optimizers love him today as SP2. The problem that I have is that he's going to be popular. So, like, do I really want to play Chalk Kyle Gibson? I really don't want to play Chalk Kyle Gibson. So that's just the thing that makes me nervous. Are
you playing Gibson seriously, Tim?
No, I currently don't have him, but I'm just saying we haven't projected as the highest owned pitcher today. That's the problem I have. Like, if he was going to be somewhat sneaky, I would say that would give me a stronger case to play him. But he's not. He's projected to be the highest owned, and he's all like if you start building out like 150 teams, in lineup HQ, you're getting to a ton of Kyle Gibson. So
my favorite team is the Angels. Kyle Gibson's been awful.
Yeah. So when I ran,
terrible.
When I ran Sims, I'm getting to a ton of Kyle Gibson, but I'm also getting to a ton of Angels, which makes a lot of sense. So go ahead.
Listen, if everybody's and I mean, I'm looking at the ownership. It's just my brain is convinced me that this can't be real, and so that's probably why I'm sitting here like that's crazy. But if everybody wants to play Kyle Gibson and Coors, I'll just play two of the expensive pitchers and play the Angels. Like I'll literally just do it right now.
So I'll tell you, I'm getting to 49% Kyle Gibson. This is in Sims. I'm getting to 49% Kyle Gibson, but the Angels are my second highest exposed team for offense. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Man,
I'm on a very similar thought process as you, Tim, in terms of the cheap SP2s with just kind of a lot of these guys could be fine. And so I'm totally good mixing and matching them into different lineups. The one part I'm differing quite heavily is there's one expensive pitcher that I think is by far the best of the expensive pitchers. And you didn't even actually mention him in your top three.
I didn't even mention Reagan's, right? I forgot.
Yeah, Cole. I was about 60% Cole Reagans today. He is my top guy by a lot. Boston is just awful against left-handed pitching, strike out a ton, and he struck out 38% of batters this year. So I'm all aboard the Cole Reagans train. Will, what are you doing today at pitcher?
Yeah, Reagan's definitely my favorite. But once again, we've got a fair amount of guys. So just quite honestly, TJ, if you want to play Reagan's, great. If you want to play Ryan, great. If you want to play Crochet, great. Like I think all of those guys are fine. Quite frankly, on DraftKings, the more I lean into this thing, as I'm building, as we get close to lot, I think I'm fully committed to just playing two expensive pitchers today because that seems like, what people don't want to do. It seems like everybody wants to kind of pay up, pay down. I do think John Hanson makes a good point by saying that Cal Gibson, 2 starts, 1 against the Yankees, jury's still out. I get it, but Cal Gibson still isn't some high strikeout pitcher. That's, I'm not afraid of Cal Gibson. So I think one of the things that we do in DFS, and I feel like I'm talking so much more philosophically today than like the slate itself, but I feel like it's important. In baseball, we tend to try to pull ourselves back to the mean too quickly. Like if a pitcher's bad to start the season, Tim, more than likely they're probably going to be bad at least 1 or 2 more games, right? Like, yeah, we think he'll get back to 20% or something close to that. But if they're coming off an injury, haven't really had a strong spring training, and they're kind of ramping up into this thing, they probably still have some kinks to work out. And so, like, right now is the time to take advantage of Cal Gibson. By the time we hit July, we might not have this same opportunity where he's actually all the way bad. You know what I mean? So, and then in reverse, Tim, sometimes pitchers start out really well, and then they regress back to the mean as we get in that same spot. Like, hey, they're pitching above their head right now. You'll be able to attack them later. So I think for me with Kyle Gibson, I think he's been so bad to start the season. I'm perfectly fine continuing to attack him, especially when the walk rate isn't out of control. Like he's throwing a bunch of strikes. Once again, not a lot of plate appearances, just kind of give us some perspective. All that to say, I think I'm way more comfortable at the top end of this slate. I don't really want to play anybody in the mid-range of this slate at all. So I totally
that's where I want to play. I want to fade the top tier. I want to play guys in that mid-range. Yeah.
Guys, this might be the best show of the year because I'm not sure if any of us actually agree on anything. So
I'm with you there. I have 0% Joe Ryan. I'm fading that like 8 to 9K tier. The only guy I have in it is Brady Singer. In the 8 to 10K range. I'll be about even on Logan Webb to the field, but I'm going like Reagans and Crochet is my most popular pairing.
Yeah, and once again, folks, hear us out here. Not that we don't agree. I think philosophically we all agree. It's just about what are the players we want to play to kind of have the leverage that we want. Does that make sense? So, like, I'm going to fade Kyle Gibson. I'm going to spin up at pitcher. I'm going to play the Angels. So I'm saying, hey, I'm expecting these pitchers to carry my team. I'm expecting Cal Gibson to get let up. And I'm hoping that, in fact, the Padres just don't score 25 runs tonight. And if all goes well at the end of the night, I'm in the running. And then, Tim, maybe I'm a home run away from first place by the time this slate ends. You know,
Well,
TJ
we do agree on one thing. Well, that's the fade Cal Gibson.
Hey,
I'm with
well,
that.
there we go.
I'm with you on that one.
There we go. Love it.
Everybody I almost bet on to hit a home run today has hit a home run, and everybody that I actually did has not. So that's annoying. But quite a few questions in chat actually about Stephen Kolek. Tim, is Kolek anybody you'd consider today for an SP2? He's not somebody that made my pool.
He isn't really anybody that I'm considering, just because I really like the guys in his same pricing tier. So he falls way to the bottom. If he was Kyle Gibson's price and we had a choice between Kolek and Gibson, let's say, then maybe I would consider him. But at 7,200, there's no way I'm playing him over like a Shane Smith, an Edward Cabrera, a Tyler McGill, Lance McCullers. I'm just not going to do that.
Oh, and can I say this too? I'm sorry. I feel like I'm cutting everybody off today. Actually, I said this slate was interesting. I'm starting to get way more excited about it. I will say on FanDuel, like, man, the prices are so much different for this Coors game. Man, like that's where I would probably be playing if I was. Like, everybody seems to be, in my opinion, fairly normal for price. Like, you can get those guys in. So didn't want to mention that. I know we had talked about FanDuel specifically, but DraftKings is where they're really priced up. FanDuel, they're still pretty reasonable.
One last note on Kolek, just kind of echoing what Tim said today. Yes, it's the Rockies, but it's in Coors. The wind is blowing out. He's got a hitter's umpire. He probably isn't going to get near as many pitches as some of the other guys in that same range. So that's why he is, all those things to say, I'm on the same page as Tim today. No Kolek for me. Let's talk some stacks. Obviously, San Diego is going to be the highest owned stack today. They're going to be the highest projected stack today. But we actually have in our Sims the Orioles projecting for a higher optimal rate, I think, just because of how expensive the Padres are. Will, who are you going to prioritize in stacks? We know you like the Angels. Who else are you getting to?
Yeah, love the Angels tonight. Once again, cheap. Kyle Gibson has not pitched well to start the season, so that's one of the big reasons, that I like him. Also like Baltimore, obviously. Definitely think they're a secondary team that you can get to. And then I think my sneaky team is the Diamondbacks. Like, I feel like nobody wants to attack Dustin May. I'm not afraid of Dustin May right now. I'm not saying the Diamondbacks are like in an elite spot today, but I do think this is a spot where they're virtually getting ignored. They're playing at home. This is a good offense. I think this is a spot where they could, put up a few runs. Conceptually in my mind, is this a better spot than the Padres? No, but for the discount on ownership that you're getting, I do think Arizona's in a pretty unique spot here on this slate. So like them quite a bit also.
Tim, how about you? Who are you prioritizing for stacks?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously San Diego's number one. Currently, there are a couple San Diego guys I'm really not that interested in. But obviously, if you have a portfolio of teams, I would be getting to all of them in some capacity. Right now, in my single entry team, I only have I'm only playing Merrill, Tatis, and Cronenworth. I'm only going to do a 3-mana San Diego. That might end up being a huge mistake. I'm not sure. But they are obviously the top stack overall with a 7.4 implied team total. Getting to a ton of Baltimore also. They have an over 5 total. Getting to a ton of them in Sims, as TJ is showing on the screen right now. So yeah, I mean Baltimore simming just like absolutely fantastic tonight as your main point of leverage off of San Diego. I know it sounds gross and we hate them and they're terrible, but I do have some interest in Colorado tonight. Guys like Ryan McMahon under 4K, I think is a really good price on him. I love Hunter Goodman at the catcher spot. And then obviously guys like Brenton Doyle and Jordan Beck are fantastic. I think in terms of sneaky stack, I know that TJ, you're on them in some capacity, but it's the Dodgers for me. Corbin Burns might be still getting some kind of name recognition. Like people still think he's a good pitcher when he's really just, basically a league average pitcher at this point. And the Dodgers could absolutely crush him. So, and I don't think the Dodgers are going to come in owned at all. So they are my favorite kind of off the board stack.
Dodgers are my favorite stack on the board total. I absolutely love them today. I am getting them as my number one stack. Orioles is number two. Not only has Corbin Burns been terrible, which he has been, but in addition to that, they're playing in Arizona with the roof open, and it is 100 degrees in Arizona in Phoenix right now. And so, yes, it'll probably cool down a little bit by the time that game starts, but hot weather in the desert tonight, roof open. Corbin Burns has been terrible. Dodgers are going low owned. Love them.
Somebody said the roof was closed, TJ, today, actually.
Shannon says roof is closed in chat. Twitter right now says Chase Field has the roof open again.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's just a guy. I don't think it is. It was just a person on Twitter at the game who said that the roof was open. So I have absolutely no idea if that's true, but if someone can get us some confirmation, let us know if that roof is open or not, because I think the Dodgers are great if the roof is closed. I think the Dodgers are impeccably amazing if the roof is open. Let's start going position by position here. Before we do, the MLB DFS annual option is $425. However, we dropped the price of our Combo Pro product to mirror the MLB annual package. Might as well get more stuff for the same price, right? Combo Pro 6-month gives you full access to our content, tools, and projections for every sport except NASCAR at a cheaper price than the monthly package. You'd actually save about 35% by choosing 6-month instead of monthly. Sign up now for the MLB projections, NBA content, PGA data, and more. Plus, be sure to check out our Props and Pick'em package for a discount. Props and Pick'em package features daily prop picks and fantasy pick'em selections from many of your favorite RotoGrinders experts. We're knocking 50% off the first month when you sign up at the link down below in our description. Dean just sent me the link to the roof status in Arizona, and it is in fact closed today. So they said too hot and closed it down. I'm wondering if maybe it was planned for the roof to be open earlier today when that guy tweeted it out, and then they were like, oh damn, that is hot. So thank you to Dean for sending that into the chat, for giving us the confirmation there. Let's go position by position, starting with the catcher spot. Who do you like, Tim?
Yeah, so real quick on FanDuel, I think there's actual catchers that you can play on FanDuel even outside of stacks. So guys like Adley Rutschman at 3K is probably my favorite. I think Hunter Goodman at 3,300 is obviously fantastic as well. But yeah, so and Logan O'Hoppe at 2,900 I think is great. So there are catchers that I think that you can play today on FanDuel. On DraftKings, it's basically the same guys. I think it's slightly prefer Hunter Goodman over Adley, but it's super close between those two. And then obviously we've got guys like Logan O'Hoppe again. Kyle Rowley, I don't think many people are going to play him today just because that price is humongous. He's 5,500, but we've seen him. He has 2 home run upside. So, like, I think you can play him at GPPs as a one-off or as part of a Seattle stack. So I like him today. Obviously, Elias Diaz as part of that San Diego stack. He's fine. But I think in cash games, I would stay away from Diaz and play Goodman or Adley. And then some of the cheaper catchers that you can play today, Gabriel Moreno at 2,800, batting 6th against the Dodgers. I think he's fine if you really need the salary. But mainly I'm going to be staying in that like $4,500 range.
Let's see if we got, not only do we have 50 likes, I'm slacking here, but we are all the way up to 75. So that's enough for the first 2 Spidey Bombs. Let's get us up to, pardon me, get us up to 100 likes. And I got the 3rd Spidey Bomb ready for the people. But number 1 at plus 400, it's Taylor Ward. Number 2 at plus 480, it's Corbin Carroll is Spidey Bomb number 2. So we got Corbin Carroll number 1. Taylor Ward number 1, Corbin Carroll number 2, and number 3, coming at 100 likes. So make sure you keep smashing that like button for us. Who are you playing today at catcher, Will?
Well, obviously, I'm playing O'Hoppe. Definitely one of my favorites. I'm fine with Cal Raleigh. Now once again, Cal Raleigh might be a little tougher for me because of the way I'm approaching this slate. But I don't mind him. I don't mind Alejandro Kirk on the cheap end. Obviously, for you, TJ, a big believer in the Dodgers tonight against Burns. Austin Barnes down here at 2,200. Not the greatest hitter in the world, but definitely a guy. I mean, cheap catcher alert. Nothing wrong with squeezing him in. That's mostly where I'm at. Like, I'm not really trying to attack too many of these heavy hitting pitchers today, with a guy like Salvador Perez or something like that. I'm mostly just playing those handful of guys. I'm not playing a whole bunch of lineups tonight.
I don't know what it is about Austin Barnes. I recognize that he is not good at hitting the baseball, but for some reason, every time I play him, he does well. And so I just have such a affinity to play Austin Barnes because I just keep getting lucky to hit him on his random days. And so he's become one of my favorite people to punt with anytime that he happens to be in the Dodgers lineup. Will take us over to first base.
Yeah, so believe it or not, even though I really like the Angels today, one of my favorite first basemen is Josh Naylor. I talked about the fact how much I like these Diamondbacks. So I do like Josh Naylor quite a bit. I think he's a really good play. You'll hear me talk about this. Seattle's kind of a secondary stack for me, but Rowdy Tellez on the cheap end, 2,700 against Francis. Definitely, think, if you need that salary relief, and I will need some salary relief tonight because of how I want to play this slate. He's a guy that I would like to play. Obviously, I'm not telling anyone to ignore anybody in the Coors game. So like Arias, even though he's more of a gap hitter. I mean, this guy gets on base and just keeps turning fantasy points. It's historically been a very low K rate bat. I don't expect him to be a high K rate bat this year. So if you want to get to a rise in that stack, I get it. And then this one here, kind of off the beaten path, I guess, if you will. I don't think a whole lot of guys. I don't think a whole lot of guys going to play this guy, but maybe they will. But Ryan O'Hearn just seems to not get played, even when people are stacking Baltimore. Don't you feel like that, Tim? People stack Baltimore, they just kind of don't play O'Hearn. He's hit the ball pretty well. So I think Ryan O'Hearn is another one at pretty low ownership that you can get to.
Love O'Hearn today. I think that's a fantastic call. Tim, how about you? Who do you like today at first?
So at first base today, I'm starting off with Ryan Mountcastle and cash games on both FanDuel and DraftKings. We haven't got that lineup yet, have we? The Baltimore lineup?
Not that I know of. I'm refreshing.
No, okay.
I don't think it's.
But
yet.
yeah, assuming Ryan Mountcastle's in the lineup, he's really, really cheap on both sites. So he'd be the guy that I start off with for cash games. But obviously, I like Freddie Freeman quite a bit today. I think he's going to be a really, really low owned play. I think he's a way, way better hitter than Luis Arias, at least in terms of power. And they're pretty much the same price on DraftKings. So I'd take the ownership discount and go with Freddie. So yeah, I mean, and then I think that like Josh Naylor is a really strong play for GPPs. Vlad, I think, is all right as well. I don't mind Michael Toglia today at 4K. I think he's fine. I do kind of like Colorado today. And then obviously, you can always play Shohei.
Yeah, I have 20% each of Shohei and Mountcastle today. And then Freeman, my next highest guy. Love him for tournaments. Second base, Tim, this is a great spot to get yourself a nice punt today.
Yeah, and I should have mentioned on FanDuel, you can play Jake Cronenworth as well at first base. But yeah, second base, Jake Cronenworth is a top overall play. This is chalk that I'm going to be eating in single entry and in cash games today. I think he's just far and away the best play. If you don't quite have the money, I think Jackson Holiday is fine at 3,600. But I still would prioritize getting to Cronenworth. Second base is not great. I think this is really just a position where it's going to be only in stacks for me, outside of guys like Cronenworth or Holiday, because I think the rest of the options here are pretty ugly.
I'm going to be going pretty close to a Cronenworth fade and just playing a ton of these cheap guys. Kike Hernandez, Justin Holiday, Haesung Kim, where I'm getting most of my ownership today. How about you, Will? Who are you playing at second?
Me and Tim are kind of in the same vein. And I will have Marte, we'll have some Polanco, because I do like those offenses. But I do agree here. Like, Cronenworth is probably a guy. Do love the price on Holidays as long as he continues to suit up. But yeah, definitely. I think Tim and I are pretty much in lockstep in this particular position.
All right, we'll take us to third.
Yeah, so up top you got Manny Machado. I definitely don't think that's the wrong play. So let me just make that very clear. I think Machado's a guy you need to be playing. Once again, I like Arizona, Eugenio Suarez. Obviously, May is a guy that can neutralize a little bit of power, but I still like Suarez here. I think this is a spot where he could get off. And I'm with you, man. Max Muncy, 3,600 here, TJ. This is a really good price. I mean, this is a guy that can and will strike out, but does have the power. And we're hoping that power turns on tonight. So definitely like that. My favorite third baseman, it's because I'm attacking Kyle Gibson, is Yoan Moncada at 3,900. And that's purely just me saying, hey, I think Gibson's still a little off.
Who's more washed, Yoan Moncada or Kyle Gibson?
Let's go Kyle Gibson for the win here. Kyle Gibson a little bit more washed than Yoan Moncada at 3,900. So hoping he comes through for the boys. So yeah, definitely like him. I think, those handful of guys are, guys I'll be included for sure.
I'm on the same page as Butthole Jenkins tonight. Just plug in $2,100 Josh Rojas and move on. I'm going to be playing a lot of Muncy, a lot of Rojas, and then after that, it's Machado and a bunch of in-stack guys. How about you, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically Manny Machado, Ryan McMahon as your cash game options. I don't mind Josh Rojas. I think that's fine. 2,100. He's going to be fairly.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
I was just saying that Rojas is going to be fairly popular today, which makes me a little bit nervous playing him in GPPs. I don't mind the Juan Moncada call. I think Max Muncy's fine inside a Dodgers stack.
Yeah, for sure. What I was going to say, somebody brought up the fact that O'Hearn is not first base eligible in DK. For sure, he is still first base eligible on FanDuel. So sorry about that. Not trying to confuse anyone, but I still think getting him on FanDuel is a pretty good proposition.
All right, Tim, take us to shortstop.
Yeah, so one player that's a priority today outside of cores is Gunnar Henderson in cash games, and it probably in GBPs as well. He's 5,400. I would prioritize getting to him. He's going to be a popular one-off, so maybe don't one-off him in GPPs. But if obviously you're stacking the Orioles, that's fine. And if you're playing cash, I would 100% prioritize him. Zach Neto, I don't mind at 4,400. I obviously, there are guys that you pay up for in GPPs like Bobby Witt or Mookie Betts. Xander just feels too expensive for me. He's somebody that I would probably try to get underweight on in a portfolio of teams. I don't really want to play a $5,100 Xander Bogaerts. Like, I know they're in a fantastic spot, but he's somebody that I would probably be underweight. And then if you wanted to just get like somebody cheap, I think JP Crawford is a pretty good option.
All right, Will, how about you? Who you getting to at shorts? I'm getting to a lot of Gunner as well, and then I like Tim's Neto call. I'm playing some Mookie, but after that, I'm going to some cheap guys like the White Sox, two shortstop eligible players, and Crawford.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, Mookie is kind of at the top of my board today. Same thing with Gunnar Henderson. Definitely think he's a great play. And believe it or not, like, I feel like the Mets are kind of going to get ignored tonight, but I do state guys like Lindor and Soto are still like just squarely in play as everyday players. Does that make sense? Like, you can play those guys every day. You never know when they're going to kind of go off. So I do think they're included. I agree with you guys on Xander at 5,100. This is the same Xander from the good old Boston days. But, if he's part of your stat, great. Zach Neto, obviously, you guys knew I was going to mention him. Definitely a guy that, I plan to get in there. I wish Perdomo was not 4,300 against May, but I still think if I'm stacking them up and, if I'm playing 150 lineups, I still think this is a guy that we throw in there. And obviously, I've talked about Seattle, so J.P. Crawford is going to make the list for me at 3,600.
All right, take us to the outfield.
Yeah, outfield is where it gets very, very interesting because can I interest you in a Shohei Ohtani at 6,600 versus a Tatis who's in Coors Field in absolutely much better hitting conditions and more than Jackson Merrill. And you're looking at the ownership gaps here, Tim, TJ, at least according to our projections. I mean, Ohtani's under double-digit ownership, and we're getting Tatis close to 20. Merrill, sorry about that. I think my phone was buzzing. I asked my wife if she was going to be ready to go to eat because I'm taking her somewhere, one of her favorite restaurants for Mother's Day tonight. So just trying to see if she's going to be ready as soon as I got off the show. So that's what we were communicating. I did not mute my phone. So I'm super sorry about that. That was me.
To your point, Chief, like the Soto versus Ohtani thing, who do you want to play today? Gavin Sheets for 5K or Juan Soto for 5,300?
Exactly. Like this. Exactly. Like I play Juan Soto every day versus Gavin Sheets at that price. And I think over the long haul of a season, we'd win that investment. We might win that investment straight up if Gavin Sheets played in Coors every day in the same hitting conditions. All right, you get what I'm saying here. But yeah, definitely like Ohtani over those two guys tonight, just in terms of the ownership gap. I think that's something to know. I talked about Soto already, but we'll officially say yes, I do like Juan Soto in this particular spot. I'm assuming Cedric Mullins is going to be playing tonight. Please don't let me down, buddy. Cedric Mullins has worked himself back from the 7th hole to the 6th hole to the 1 hole again. Last season, guys, do you remember Cedric Mullins was batting down the bottom of the order, felt like every day, and then now he's just, he's played so well, he's back at the top. So really, really like him. I've talked about the Angels. Everybody seems to think the Angels are super terrible, and they are, but I'm banking on Kyle Gibson being worse. So give me Taylor Ward. He's 3,300. Joe Adell might be where I draw the line. He's 2,500. I think if you're going multiple lineups, you go ahead and get him in too. Going to hop over to Seattle, like Julio Rodriguez. Okay with Randy Arozarena, Tavares, Mastroboni, like all those guys I'm fine with because I like Seattle today. Obviously, if you're on FanDuel, so now let me make it quick because I didn't mention, if you're on FanDuel, you can still get Pavin Smith in the outfield. So I prefer to play him in the outfield today because I like so much Josh Naylor at first. So you can't get him in the outfield. You can get Alec Thomas in the outfield. Corbin Carroll, obviously, leading off in the outfield is another guy that you can play. I feel like I've named a lot of outfielders today, but I think it's a good position here, even outside of Coors.
Taylor Ward's my highest owned guy. I'm going to skip my second highest owned guy, and I'm going to save it for the sneaky surprise, see if anybody can guess it, because there is somebody in the outfield today that I absolutely love at very low ownership. But I got Ward 1, then the surprise, then Ohtani, Tatis, Merrill, O'Neill, Soto, Paez, O'Hearn. So very similar to this list here. Padres, Dodgers, and Orioles. But I want to see if anybody can guess my super, maybe not like super sneaky, but my favorite tournament play of the night in the.
Can I take a guess? Kyle Tucker.
No, but you're very close.
All right. PCA.
Pete Crow Armstrong finally in the leadoff spot. I've been begging the Cubs to do this all season long. Just putting E1/2 there didn't make any sense to me, especially against righties. Pete Crow Armstrong is one of my favorite tournament plays of the night. Tim, who are you playing in the outfield?
Yeah, so outfield's completely loaded today, basically in all price points. Tatis and Merrill, I think, are your top like raw point guys on the night. Obviously, Ohtani is a fantastic pivot away from them in GPPs, but if you're playing cash, I would be playing one, if not two, of those guys on both sites. So yeah, it's definitely Tatis and Merrill. Taylor Ward is probably going to be in your cash games on both sites. He's way too cheap. Obviously, I love Cedric Mullins today at 5,100. Ryan O'Hearn, I think, is fantastic as well. Brenton Doyle, Jordan Beck, those guys for Colorado, I think, are fantastic. Other cheap options we could consider. Kerstead for the Orioles at 2,900. He's simming out really well. I think Joe Odell is fine at 2,500. He's either gonna strike out 4 times or hit 1 home run and strike out 3 times, but he's really, really cheap, and he's definitely gonna be part of your Angel stacks. I don't mind getting to a Tavares at 2,900. I don't mind Seattle today. They're very, very cheap, and Francis has not been very good thus far this season. So I think Tavares at 2,900 is a decent value play.
All right, we got the third Spidey Bomb scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Taylor Ward, the first one, Corbin Carroll, the second one, and at plus 480 on FanDuel, Freddie Freeman is Spidey Bomb number 3. Before we take questions, let's get some home run calls from you, gents. Tim, I'll throw it to you. Do you got any taters for the people?
Yeah, I got to pull up some odds real quick, but I do want to get to Brenton Doyle. I like him quite a bit. Trying to find one other one. Let me just pull up some odds real quick, TJ, before I give out the other taters.
Will, how about you? Who you got hitting a home run tonight?
Yeah, give me Cal Raleigh versus Bowden Francis. Obviously, I don't know what the odds are, but give me the big dumper. You know I'm going to give out someone against Cal Gibson. Obviously, as washed as he is, give me Yohan Moncada versus Brother Gibson. God, I feel like I have so many tonight. Give me.
Let me do you one better with the Yohan Moncada thing and say if you want it, unless you just think Moncada is the guy for sure hitting a home run. If you're a betting person today, you can get Ryan O'Hearn for the same odds as Yohan Moncada.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Ryan O'Hearn was in Spidey Bomb consideration today. I absolutely love his home run odds.
Yeah, give me Pavin Smith also. And I'll cut it off there. Pavin's probably my sneaky one.
Tim, how about you?
Yeah, so Brenton Doyle's plus 425, so I like that one quite a bit. I'm gonna go with Logan O'Hoppe at plus 425 also. So those are my 2 taters tonight. Love
the Logan O'Hoppe one. Taking some QQs, going to the RotoGrinders live stream Discord first, then going to the YouTube chat. First question from Achilles: why do people think Ryan Mountcastle is good? Well, he is fine, I think, especially against left-handed pitching. He's good. Against right-handed pitching, he is fine, but he's on the second best offense of the slate tonight, expected to bat third. So I think it's more of a price, a lineup, and a matchup thing as opposed to Ryan Mountcastle, the guy, being super spectacular. Tim, give us a recap of the DK cash pitchers. I was kind of thinking the one guy that was like a lock for cash was Reagans, but you were saying you might not even have to go that high.
You certainly can. I wouldn't fault anybody if they wanted to. I don't think he's absolutely necessary, though. Current optimals have Ryan and Gibson. I'm not going to play Gibson in cash, but you don't have to go Reagans. I kind of think it's like Joe Ryan and maybe Tyler McGill or even Shane Smith. I don't mind either one of those 2 guys. But certainly you can go Reagans. But cash is not straightforward tonight. It's actually kind of a difficult night for GPPs and cash because there's a lot of different ways that you could build teams tonight. And I don't think I don't think Reagans is an absolute priority for cash games.
I just did looking at the bat, and the optimal was Reagan's Gibson, but the next optimal pairing from the bat projections would actually be the double spend up with Reagan's and Joe Ryan today. Maybe I'm making a mistake fading Joe Ryan, but I don't know. I'm not a big Joe Ryan guy.
See,
Next question.
I am a big Joe Ryan guy, so that's just where we differ, I guess.
Yeah. Thoughts on the Mets for FanDuel single entry, Will?
I don't think I would full stack the Mets today.
Holiday's batting leadoff for the Orioles.
Ooh. 1, 2.
Very interesting. How about Jacob deGrom had 6 strikeouts through 2 innings?
From the Joe Ryan standpoint, I was just looking at it here, Tim, and I actually got to say I do really like that there are 5 right-handed bats in the lineup for 5 right-handed bats in the lineup today for San Francisco. I feel like that does bode really, really well for Joe Ryan today. I was planning on having my lineups done, but with Holiday leading off, I think I'm going to adjust a few things because I want to be getting as much of this dude as possible. I think I'm going to be playing about 50% Jackson Holiday now that he's leading off. This is another guy like Pete Crow Armstrong. I've just been waiting for them to move him up higher in the lineup. Let's see if I'll even be able to, because we still got some questions to take here. Thoughts on Horton? Is he SP2 viable? Horton. Who's Horton? I don't got a Horton in my pool. Horton here? Who? I don't see anybody named Horton. Elaborate for us.
Horton.
Who this Horton character is? Mr. Rios. Favorite FanDuel GPP pitcher tonight, and thoughts on Kolek. We are all very anti-Kolek tonight. Will, who's your favorite FanDuel GPP pitcher? Reagan's for me as well. Let's go over to the YouTube chat. How do we feel about Ketel Marte as a one-off tonight, Tim?
He's okay.
Yeah, second base a weak position, so I think nothing wrong with ever getting up to a little Ketel Marte. Let's see here. What do we think about Edward Cabrera as an SP2 for DK Cash, Tim?
Say that again.
What do you think of Edward Cabrera for an SP2?
I don't love it for cash, but I don't think it's horrible. I prefer going to Shane Smith.
Someone was saying Horton is for Cubs is making his debut.
Yeah, it's because Keller's
just pitching.
Oh yeah, sorry, I was looking at that wrong, and I was thinking Miguel was for the Cubs and not against the Cubs. Yeah, it's a bullpen game. Don't play Horton. That's a bullpen game. That is like we might only get if he's 4K. You can I guess close your eyes, cross your fingers, and hope he comes off the bench and gets you enough innings. But I don't think you want to go Horton today for when they're
8K.
Yeah. Oh, then heck no, because they're planning to that's going to be. I don't think that's going to be a full allotment of pitches for him today. And at 8K, heck no. They're at 4,300 or less DK Cash last piece, Tim.
4,300 DK Cash last piece. I mean, I hope that you have maybe gets to 200 for Brenton Doyle. It's kind of not a great price point. Pretty ugly. I guess Jordan Beck.
Is Brady Singer viable in DK Cash against 8 righties? I do like him for tournaments. I don't think he is viable in cash, though. We got another Colette question, SP2 for DK Cash. No, I don't think he's viable at all, let alone in cash. Stop. We're not playing Colette today, people. Singer or McCullers SP2, Will?
Not for me. I totally get it, but I don't get Brady Singer right a lot. So he's kind of like my 2000,
I get one or the other. Who would you choose, Singer or McCullers?
Man, now that you put it that way, probably be Singer, just because I feel like I trust him a little bit more with McCullers coming back. But yeah, I don't like either one of them.
All right, let me see if I can get my new set. Oh yeah, we got it's a 10-7-10 lock, not a 05 lock. We got lots of time here. We'll even probably likely get out of here a little bit early because it seems as though we are running low on questions. FanDuel Cash, Tim, Neto and Arias, or Xander Bogaerts and O'Hoppe?
I guess the second one.
All right, going back to the Discord chat. Do we got anything in there? Tim, what are your thoughts on McCullers for GPP?
I like McCullers quite a bit in GPPs.
Yeah, I think he is quite viable today as well. That's it for questions.
Questiones.
Oh, no, it's not. Blink 182 Root. I know it's crazy yucky. DK large field. 2 punts, Will. Sogard and Kierstad, or Trejo and Renfro?
Trejo, Renfro.
I agree on that side. I think. I don't know.
At least Renfro has some form of a platoon advantage. Like,
I like Kierstad a little bit. I think is just in general.
I know Sogard's be switching, but still.
Reagans and Crochet matchup has to be the best this year so far. So it's probably going to be a 12-run game. Yeah, honestly, Devin, even that's a good point. So often when we get these exciting pitching matchups, that is going to be how it happens. If we'll give one more chance for people to throw in and get some questions. If not, we'll get out of here a little bit early. Tim, in the meantime, give us a little bit of a quick pitcher stack recap after Will answers. Lindor and Beck, or Soto and Neto? Oh, I like that Soto Neto pair.
Yeah, that's probably where I was going to go. So Soto Neto.
Tim, give us a little recap of your top pitchers and top stacks.
So Joe Ryan's my top overall pitcher, probably followed by Cole Reagans, then Crochet, then Webb. I'm living in this mid-tier for single entry today, so it's going to be Cabrera, McGill, and Shane Smith, or Lance McCullers. Those four I'm currently debating in my primary single entry team, and then I'm not playing Kyle Gibson, but optimizers kind of want you to tonight. But he's kind of like your value punt pitcher that you can use if you want to stack up all the expensive bats. Stacks, the Padres have a humongous implied team total. They're going to be popular. I love Baltimore today. I love the Dodgers. And I like some of these cheap pieces of Seattle as well. And then of course, if Gibson's going to be chalky, I think we should be getting to some Angels as well.
Will, how about you? Top pitchers, top stacks.
Well, I mean, definitely going to be Reagans for me. Definitely like Crochet. I'm perfect. I think I'm perfectly fine with Ryan. I like the top half of this thing. Stats: Seattle, Angels, Diamondbacks, Dodgers.
Tim, thoughts on Mark Canha as a one-off?
I don't think that's necessary. We have tons of options that you could go that are going to be low owned. I don't see the need to play him.
All right, Will. Best pitcher on DK, 8K and under.
Let's see. I'm not really playing anybody under 8K. I guess if I was, I'd maybe play Cabrera. or McCullers. I think one of those is the right answer.
Also, just a little note that if anyone was playing a Orioles stack with Tyler O'Neill, he is not in the lineup today. So get yourself Tyler O'Neill out of there. Pick one, Merrill or Tatis for DK single entry, Tim.
I'll go Merrill.
All right. I think that is going to do it for questions today. We got our Spidey Bomb scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Taylor Ward, Corbin Carroll, and Freddie Freeman. Good luck tonight, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to our show. We will see you again bright and early tomorrow for an early slate start, as we typically do on Sundays. And in the meantime, on behalf of myself, Will, and Tim, thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next time.